Hi everyone. I wanted to put up a end of year post with just a lot of gratitude and thanks. I know everyone had a memorable 2025. For many, there were a lot of learnings and a lot of growth, and I just want to say that I'm grateful for all of it and all of you and this exciting year ahead. I was doing some reflection on CARO. I opened CARO in 2004, and I'll be emerging in January 2026 as CARO 4.0. And I thought I would share just a few talking points related to consulting, leadership, and my line of work, which is working in the tech, fashion, CPG space. And also adding in a little bit more depth and insight, things that I feel are unique to CARO. And I guess one thing that I want to start out with is that, our core positioning at CARO is really that we're not building brands, but that we're architecting commercial ecosystems. So, this means we're really building systems that meet the market reality and where it is today. I also believe that marketing really tells your story. Commercialization ensures someone's buying it. And there's a $1 billion difference between the two. So there's a big difference between commercialization and marketing. And I'll also add that since the pandemic in 2020, we really started to see a shift in the roles of leaders at the executive level. And for those that were in marketing, I think they saw the role of CMO really have to take on a lot more leadership capacity that you would normally see a CEO take ownership of. And then with the arrival of AI over the last 5-6 years, and it really reaching sort of a mass adoption right now, those in leadership are really redefining their roles and learning how to understand the truth about their organization and how viable are they, how viable is their brand, how viable are the economics, and if you take certain things away that have always been there, how well is the business or the brand doing, really? So I find the work that I'm doing to be both nurturing and strategic, because sometimes these are hard things to look at, and the future is going to require us to get familiar with the unknown and try new things and address some of the things that are keeping us up at night in a real way. Basically I'm bridging tech and traditional retail or e-com. I believe the future of commerce isn't tech replacing retail, it's technology making thoughtful retail scalable. So I've spent 20 years in brand building, a little bit about me, learning that really the best strategy is worthless, I know it's a strong word, without execution infrastructure. So now I'm building both simultaneously. And this kind of ties back to the comments I made about the changes in the executive role at a lot of companies. And this could be a smaller company all the way up to enterprise businesses. And I'll also mention here too, moving from in-house to agency to consultant and fractional. It's really been wonderful being a part of the board over the last few years and building community and sharing notes and working together as a collective whole to really help shift our industry forward and prepare them and give them best services and expertise. I can see that the future of work is really going to continue on that trajectory from what I'm seeing. So to the consultancy model, CARO in particular, which is what I can speak to, my own consultancy, really isn't about advice. I think there's some misconceptions about that out there about what is consulting. There's, like any industry, there's people that are doing things that are great at what they do, and then there's those that are using it as sort of a safety net until they find something else. I don't judge. You just really have to do your due diligence when you're meeting a consultant to really understand and frame out what that sort of bespoke relationship is and what the expected outcomes are, what is the pace, what is the cost. And when you find the right fit, you really will see that it can be a really powerful shift for the company. There's great value in it. You just need to, I hate to say this, but it's true, don't act out of desperation where it's like, I'm just going to throw all of this to this consultant, they're going to fix everything. Maybe they will, but I think it's really about having a level set conversation and being very serious about what the problems and what the goals and outcomes are. And a lot of times what will happen is the CEO founder will realize clearly, get clarity and alignment around what does success look like. And is it the hockey stick growth? Is it building a legacy brand? Is it saving a business and getting it ready for an acquisition? You know, there's many different ways that business can look successful and be successful. It's not just being the biggest and the greatest and the best. So, you know, CARO isn't about advice, it's about outcomes. And we take equity positions because we're committed to the win, not just the recommendation. So this is also something you'll find consultants like myself that have been in this for a long time and can really get in and understand the unique nature of your business, like the DNA of what it is that you're doing, and shift narratives and reskin things in a way that breathe new life into the organization and get you set up for a path to success. Equity is always on the table for that discussion because it requires not just connections and introductions, but years of experience and also curiosity and passion, of fearlessness, all of that which I put into my work. And also putting, you know, safeguards, guardrails on what that relationship is to make sure everyone's protected and it's a win-win for all involved. It should always be that way. Another point I wanted to make is on luxury and premium positioning. This has been coming up a lot. I don't believe premium is just a price point. I think sometimes we get caught up on that with a sales mindset or a licensing mindset. You know, it's more of a promise that you keep consistently across every customer touch point. So it's really about experience, consistency, action, and anticipating the needs, understanding the needs, maybe, you know, testing your data and leveraging new tools and systems that are out there. If you have questions and interests about that, I work with a lot of companies, advisory, consulting, pipeline building. You know, I do a lot with a lot of these companies, so I can see under the hood and inside the organization and what's really moving the needle for SMBs. I feel like I have a very good insight in that arena, so if you're interested, please let me know. But really, you know, if you're wanting to create quality and you're wanting to truly serve a specific audience, which I believe is more and more people, you know, yes, there is the dream of landing a deal with Walmart or a big box retailer or getting your brand a little bit further so you could unlock some bigger licensing opportunities. Yes, there's these big win moments. But for many companies, it's really about building a business that's healthy, that's sustainable, and that feeds the team and organization, and that brings a product to market that is truly needed, that is the best at what it does, and offers more than just price. You know, if we're just talking about price, that's one conversation. But if we're talking about all the other things besides just price, then yeah, it's really important to be consistent and really understand that customer. I think this is a great new time that we're embarking on, you know, not just AI, but culturally, being a global system. There's so much at our disposal if we want to take a pause and really just look at what makes sense for us and for our businesses, and maybe put the horse blinders on a little bit, run your SWOT, look at your competitive analysis, but then also just double down on yourself and really focus on what it is that you're doing. I guess another topic I wanted to mention is founder relationships. I work a lot with founders, and I work a lot with founders who know their product is exceptional, but they need someone who understands how exceptional products actually get sold. So this is that commercialization and marketing piece again, coming up. If you're a founder and you're a head of brand, and you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my links down below, and you could reach me at my board office hours. You could reach me at CARO. You could reach me on my LinkedIn. I am accessible, and I would love an opportunity to do a quick 15-minute virtual coffee and try to understand what it is that you want to discover about getting your exceptional products out into the world in a way that they could be received. We can build those strategies and have those discussions. When you're starting from the ground up, this also seems to be my area of specialty. I'm not afraid of architecting things from air, from thought, from passion, from a download, from an inspiration. I am very much excited about those types of opportunities. Many feel very uncomfortable in that space, and that's okay too. But if if you're starting grassroots, if you're starting from the very beginning, it's really important to frame out exactly what it is you're looking to build and then find the right people. This is when a consultant, a fractional person could be of great value to you, where you could do actual working sessions at an hourly rate. And I do ones that are called the whisper sessions, where we can do anywhere from 1 hour a month to 1 hour a week, or we could do short sprints and projects. It's a great way to begin and set a strong foundation, and then within months you see the traction and things start to really crystallize, and you're starting from the mindset of abundance and not scarcity. What can I get for cheap? Who can I get for free? Maybe that works for some, but I think it's better quality over quantity, and really starting off on the right foot. I actually started grassroots my whole career. I started in political organizing. I was studying environmental politics. I thought I was going to be a lawyer and work for the EPA. I worked for Al Gore and a number of men and women from across both of the aisles for issues that I thought were really important, whether it was Social Security, environmental income, or environmental impact, climate change, sustainable energy. I was really passionate about all of this. Somehow I ended up over here working in fashion and technology, but today I'm working a lot in the areas of regenerative and sustainable businesses, not just in fashion. I'm working with factories, helping to make ethical and sustainable products, new innovations in technologies, and really bridging nature and technology, human-led first initiatives. So it's interesting, you start grassroots, but then you usually find your way home after some time. And starting grassroots is actually great. You can learn fast that passion without process could lead to burnout. I've learned that many times over, throughout my career. And that structure and soul are not necessarily opposites. So some people say left brain, right brain balance. I really talk about, head and heart, we're creative, we're finance. A lot of people are compartmentalizing it. The more you can integrate that, the more powerful you will be with your business. So one thing that I've initiated is called the 90-day execution philosophy. I give clients 90-day roadmaps because 3 months is usually enough time to prove traction and short enough to maintain urgency. I'll say that again. 90-day roadmaps because 3 months is enough time to prove traction and short enough to maintain urgency. This was a big finding for me. It was a big growth lever for me and my consultancy in 2025. And it's something that I'm going to continue to evolve. And I can't wait to reflect this time next year and see where this has led me and those that I've been fortunate enough to consult along the way. I am going to also mention that I am a woman, and I really am passionate today about wealth building. I started an initiative with a dear friend, Gabrielle Bren, over at JP Morgan. We started talking about it more than 2 years ago, and this year we actioned it in September of 2025. Really what we're building is a new room of quietly powerful women to talk about generational wealth. I'm not out publicly promoting a whole lot about the curriculums and the formats and the programming, but more so about creating a new room for these women to come in and be brave and vulnerable and talk about what they know and don't know, and also how we can build new ways of educating, learning, practicing, building businesses as women leading future generations. And how can we make this something that younger generations are going to want to do, that they find stimulating and interesting? You know, we're definitely in a digital world, and many women have young children, are birthing young children into this new digital era. And I'm sure there's fathers and dads that can also relate to what I'm saying. It's a very different time raising children today. And, you know, technology is not going to be going anywhere. And they have very much become bedside buddies with our kids through their devices, going to bed with them, waking with them, tracking their every move. We're also seeing gating to adults. You know, children as young as 13 are now able to set up their own systems and access to information on the internet. Even their health is now a one-to-one with healthcare providers at age 13. Things are changing. So we want to, as women and leaders, anticipate and build for this change, for positive impact on our children in every way we possibly can. And we know how to do that. So MAV, it stands for Magnifying All Voices. And the young women coming through this program are Mavericks. So stay tuned. There will be more on that. We just had our second dinner in New York just a couple weeks ago here in December, and more to come next year. I will talk a little bit about the way in which each of us as leaders are made up of our own DNA, and that's something truly special to celebrate. I'm sure many of us have taken tests, leadership tests, you know, proficiency tests, IQ. The younger ones maybe had taken SATs before going into college. You know, there's Enneagrams, there's, you know, and it can go as abstract, or, you know, some people do all different types of tests, and I won't go into all of it. Maybe that's a separate segment here, but let's just talk about the Enneagram, because that's a pretty common one across all industries. You know, I found out I'm an introvert, which was really shocking to me because I never thought of myself as an introvert. I'm a very social, outgoing, I feel confident in rooms and speaking. But in fact, I am in small doses, but I am an introvert. And I started to reflect on my unique way of leading teams and consulting as an introvert. And I believe that being an introvert in reflection this year in business is actually my advantage. I build fewer relationships, but they're deeper and more strategic, and they compound. So this was a big finding, and I share this with everyone because there could be a reflection for you there. What are some of the moments where you felt resistance, or you felt that you weren't enough, or you questioned the value you were bringing into whatever it is that you were working on, personal or professional relationships? And think about, is that a bad thing? Or is it a mirror or a reflection or reminder of who you truly are? And maybe doubling down a little bit more on what your natural superpowers and gifts are. I do want to mention also another profound thing that happened this year, which was a session that I did at the board with a gentleman. Let me pull up his name so I don't butcher it. We did a superpower workshop. Sam Gabby. It was a profound workshop I did with a number of other fractionals and consultants at the board, and I did his workshop. Please check him out. Really incredible work. The outcome was I was a crowner of kings and queens was my superpower. And it really, resonated. I felt it within me that was very true, and it was my path. The irony was that after over 20 years of doing this, I realized that I wanted to queen myself. And, I have a daughter that I've queened, a husband I've kinged, and 400 go-to-market brands I've kinged and queened. And really it was time for me to step out and share my knowledge and information and my passion with a broader audience and get over my introversion and reach more people. And when I shared that with Sam, I think it really resonated, and he and I think, have built a nice understanding of one another, the ability to go deep and to just work harder and harder to be better at who we are and what we bring into the world. So thank you for that. Another point is authentic partnerships. I only partner with companies where I personally use the product. Conviction compounds credibility. I also only work with leaders that I believe in their leadership style, that they are in it not just for greed, that they are in it because it truly aligns with who they are. I believe that when you are passionate and you are value aligned with what you do in your work, it doesn't become work, it becomes an extension of who you are. And it is limitless what your potential is. And you inherently create deeper relationships, more respect within your organization. You build a culture and you build a legacy in some way. And it might be small, it might be large, it doesn't really matter. But it's really important, the authenticity that exists in partnerships. And I would encourage brands to really think that way too when you're looking at anything from a factory partner to a creator, an influencer that you might be exploring a partnership with, a co-branding opportunity, sharing floor space with someone, co-creating product together. It's really important. Another point is about the future, and it's really, a lot of people are talking about future proofing. I talk a lot at CARO about being a woman who's shaping what's next and working with others that are doing the same. I think leaders, the leaders that are shaping what's next are not necessarily the loudest in the room. And they're the ones curious enough to question everything and courageous enough to sit in the unknown until that clarity emerges. This is really important. And there's not a lot of us patient and brave enough to do this, but there are many of us. And the more we can find one another and align on our missions and support one another, I think the better the world and future generations will be. And our businesses will benefit from this type of commitment and vision. People in performance aren't always opposed. And I think this is important to think about from a leadership perspective. I've built my career proving you don't choose between investing in people and driving results. Systems, speed, and strategy work best when your team is equipped, aligned, and empowered to execute. It's very important. I guess one last note is the word generalist. This has been coming up a lot in fractional and consulting arenas, and I find this to be one of the most needed superpowers right now. I am a generalist by design, and that's how you see connections between creative, commerce, and technology that specialists often miss. It's where the future actually gets built. So if you can couple your expertise as a generalist, meaning you have deep knowledge and capacity to take things from idea to execution, maybe it's in creative as well as go-to-market strategy. Maybe it's in technology and engineering crossed with finance. Maybe it's, a kaleidoscope of all of these different experiences. Take time to note on what you've done well, where some of your deepest learnings were, and weave that together to be the fabric of who you are and understand and double down on those skill sets and innate abilities and move them quickly, action them quickly, fortify them, continue to learn and understand more and more in those arenas, stay fresh, be on the pulse, and most importantly, have fun and be playful and curious around these gifts. So in closing, CARO 4.0, what are we doing as we prepare for 2026? Scaling impact. I would say this is really what I'm focused on right now. You know, I've taken hundreds of brands from zero to market over the last 20 years. Yes. But CARO 4.0 is about leveraging everything I know, from e-commerce to social commerce to AI to creative to social impact, environmental awareness, and helping small to mid-sized businesses as well as enterprise, but I think the real need is small to mid-sized businesses, improve their margins, build longevity, and amplify the leadership that creates real social and economic impact, and to thread that all with innovation and creativity. So I will close this with a little quick bio drop in closing. It's been a real pleasure if you've been with me for these last 20 minutes or so. I appreciate you, and I hope to hear from you. You know, I am the founder CEO of CARO Consulting, 20 plus years scaling brands to emerging tech. And I am a strategic advisor with equity positions in AI commerce, retail OS technology, and I'm also the co-founder of MAV, a financial literacy platform, and I am based here in California, and a mother and a wife, and a person who believes a lot in people and all of the beautiful things that we can do if we work together and support one another in this coming year. I wish you and your families and your friends and your businesses great abundance, and thank you so much. To a beautiful 2026. Have a good one. Okay, bye.